Welcome to Too Fond of Books. My name is Janelle, and in this video I am going to show you some of the books from my shelves. So I'm filming this on the first day of summer, and I was watching a video, a new video from Christie at Books and Jams, and she was doing a video about books on her shelves that had the word sun or summer in the title. And I thought, well, that's a fun idea. And so then I thought, how could I do a video that is similar but not like just completely stealing her idea? So then I thought about words that evoke summer. And so I went through the books on my shelves and I found some books that have summary titles to show you. And so I've read some of these books, but I haven't read all of them. So these aren't necessarily recommendations, but these are just books that have summary titles because it's now summer, and I thought this would be a fun way to kind of just show off some of the books in my collection. So I'm going to start with the books that I have that actually have the word summer in the title. First up is Summer's Lease by John Mortimer. Now, I haven't read this one yet, but John Mortimer writes the Rumpole books, Rumpole of the Bailey, which I quite enjoy. This one looks like a book that is right up my alley. It says, "It's high summer, high comedy too, when Molly drags her amiably bickering family to a rented Tusca villa for the Halls." Sounds good. And one of the reviews on the back says that it is part social comedy, part adventure story come murder mystery. Sounds good. Maybe I should read this book this summer. What do you think? I also have A Horseman Riding by R.F. Delderfield. This is book 1, Long Summer Day. I have quite a number of books by R.F. Delderfield, and I have always been meaning to read them, but of course there's always something else. This is the magnificent saga of 20th century England that has been a bestseller ever since its first appearance. And this is a book from 1966. Long Summer Day is I guess covers the period of 1902 to 1911. Also a book I want to get to very soon. This is the Summer of the Barshinskeys by Diane Pearson. One summer can change a lifetime. This is a book that's been on my shelves for quite a while, and I have not read it yet. It is from 1984. In the blazing heat of that Edwardian summer, the seeds were sown for the fusion of two families. It was a time of life and love, a summer burning with passion and obsession. By the time the summer was out, their lives would be irrevocably intertwined. Moving from the chaste austerity of rural England to the dark uncertainty of revolutionary Russia, Diane Pearson's new novel is a masterful evocation of the tragedies and joys of the desperate search for love. Now, I'm sure that what attracted me to this book, here's the back, which is also good, would have been the fact that it is set during Edwardian times and that it is set both in England and Russia. That would have definitely been trigger words for me. I also have The Summer of the Royal Visit by Isabel Colegate. This is another book that I have not read yet. This is set during the reign of Queen Victoria, and a city, capital C, prepares to welcome its monarch, but the faint heat of summer intensifies. As the faint heat of summer intensifies, passions are ignited by an architectural competition to design a new hotel, and the harmonious facade of middle-class life suddenly begins to crumble. Interesting. And then I have one of the Brother Cadfael series. This is The Summer of the Danes by Ellis Peters. I really love these editions. These red cover editions are really pretty. So these are set during medieval times in England, and Brother Cadfael is the main character. He investigates mysteries. And then this one, I'm sneaking it in because summer is actually in the title. This is Summerset Abbey by T.J. Brown. This is a mystery as well. Maybe not a mystery, maybe just historical fiction. But this is the first in a trilogy, and it is also set during Edwardian time periods. So I find that very interesting because there's going to be there were a few here that were set during the Edwardian time period that had summer in the title. That's interesting. This is 1913. In a sprawling manor on the outskirts of London, 3 young women seek to fulfill their destinies and desires amidst the unspoken rules of society and the distant rumbling of war. This was really good. I read this a number of years ago, and I am looking forward to rereading it someday. Okay, then I looked out books from my collection that had the word sun in the title. And so I have Perry Mason Solves the Case of the Sun Bather's Diary by Erle Stanley Gardner. This is a fantastic edition of this book. This is a pocketbook edition. I have quite a few of the Perry Masons. I'm trying to collect them, but Erle Stanley Gardner was very prolific. This was originally published in 55, and this edition is from 63. I also have Agatha Christie's Evil Under the Sun, which is a great summer read. Hercule Poirot on holiday off the coast of Devon and Cornwall, I think. This is also a pocketbook edition. I love these editions. And then I have a book by Robert Goddard called Out of the Sun. I'm collecting his books as well, even though I've only read 1 or 2, but I did enjoy it, and so I've just been picking them up as I find them at thrift stores and book sales and stuff. And this one, let's see, Out of the Sun is from 1996. Harry Barnett is shocked to learn he has a son. David Venning, a brilliant mathematician, now languishing in hospital in a diabetic coma. And this is only the first and smallest of the mysteries he is about to encounter. So this is a follow-up to an earlier book called Into the Blue that had the same character, Harry Barnett. But nothing in that experience prepared him or the reader for the baffling conundrums and heart-stopping suspense of Out of the Sun. Dun dun dun! This is Sunrise in the West by Edith Pargeter, and she also writes as Ellis Peters, so the Brother Cadfael books, these are by the same author. This is one of her brothers of Gwynedd. I'm not going to say that correctly. 2 brothers, the sons of a Welsh prince, locked in fatal enmity. So this is historical fiction. And then by E.V. Thompson, Harvest of the Sun. This is also historical fiction, probably more accurately a saga. A magnificent saga of passion and conflict in Africa a century ago. And this is the sequel to Chase the Wind, which I also have, but I have not read either. This was first published in 1978. The ship was bound for Australia. Aboard were Josh Retallick and Miriam Thackeray, prisoners destined for the convict settlements, until the random hand of destiny wrecked their vessel on the skeleton coast of southwest Africa. Sounds good. And then another mystery. This is Gently in the Sun by Alan Hunter. This is part of his Inspector George Gently series. This has been made into a show that is available. I think it's available in numerous places, but I think I have access to it maybe on Acorn TV or BritBox. The heat is on when a beautiful young woman is found dead on a beach at the height of summer. This is from 59. And then from Sharon K. Penman, The Sun in Splendour. This is her massive book about Richard III. Yes, he was the last born son of the Duke of York and the last Plantagenet king. He was Richard III, a complex man living in tumultuous times. One more that has Sun in the title, and this is Sun Kings, a history of magnificent kingship by Hywell Williams. This, I believe, I'm pretty certain that I got this from my mom and dad as a present. A lavish illustrated history of the world's greatest monarchs. Richly informative accounts of the lives and reigns of more than 50 magnificent rulers from ancient Egypt to the 20th century. So this is a great history book, a great resource to have in my collection. And I've enjoyed looking through this. I haven't read it from cover to cover, but I'll read it, you know, just about like about a king at a time, kind of thing. Yeah, I'm quite happy to have this in my collection. Okay, so those are the books that had the words sun or summer in the title. Let's move on to other words that evoke summer, to me anyway. So I have a few books here that have the word sea in the title, going to the seaside, you know, the beach, all that is definitely a summer activity. And so I have The Sea for Breakfast by Lillian Beckwith. I quite enjoy Lillian Beckwith. She writes books about people who live in the Outer Hebrides. And this is, let's see, from 1961. Then I have another one by E.V. Thompson, and this is The Restless Sea. From the day of his marriage, Nathan would no longer be Nathan Yago, fisherman of Pentua. He would be Nathan Yago of Polrudan, and he would have Eleanor. So this is a book set on the Cornish coast in 1810. So there's going to be some smuggling and whatnot. This is from 1983. Another book I haven't read, but I'm looking forward to. And then part of the Aunt Dimity series, this is Aunt Dimity and the Deep Blue Sea by Nancy Atherton. This is a cozy mystery series set in England that I really quite enjoy. The magnificent Dunrillan Castle seems a good place to hide. So Laurie's husband receives some death threats, and so he sends her and the children to hide at this castle on a remote island off the Scottish coast. This was a good one. Then we have In the Roar of the Sea by S. Baring-Gould, a tale of mystery and intrigue on the wild, windswept coast of Cornwall. I have not read this one either, even though I've had it on my shelves for quite a long time. This was written in 1892 initially, and the reason why I grabbed it was, I like books that are set in Cornwall. First of all, I think that's a fantastic setting for a book. But the name the name sounded familiar to me, and that's because S. Baring-Gould was a vicar, maybe, but he wrote a famous hymn, Onward Christian Soldiers, maybe? I should look it up. And if I'm wrong, I'll put the real title across the bottom. But yeah, I've lent this to my parents. My mom read it and really enjoyed it. So this is another one that I really want to get to soon. And then we have The Wind Off the Sea by Charlotte Bingham. This is a book set during 1947, the worst winter in England since records began, and even the sea is frozen. Ooh, so maybe I shouldn't be counting this one because it's set during the winter. Anyways, for the women living in the little fishing port of Bexham, the chronic lack of everything from fuel to food has left them reeling. When Waldo Astley drives through thick Sussex snow into this village in his large American Buick, it is to find Bexham filled not just with grumbling residents, but with frustrated wives and mothers forced back behind their stoves after the joy of the victory for which they fought so hard on the home front. So, historical fiction set just after the war. And then we have The Dawn Flows Home to the Sea by Mikhail Sholokhov. Let's see. The Nobel Prize for Literature, 1965. The artistic power and integrity with which in his Epic of the Dawn he has given creative expression to a historic phase in the history of the Russian people. With panoramic sweep, characterization, energy, and truth, the international best-selling sequel to And Quiet Flows the Dawn portrays without dogma the tragic clash between the primitive Don Cossacks and the dialectical concept of history at the time of the Russian Revolution. And then, this one is definitely a summary read, Death Beside the Seaside by T.E. Kinsey. This is a historical mystery. A Lady Hardcastle mystery set in July 1910. And Lady Hardcastle and her sidekick Flo have gone for a long overdue seaside break. But their fellow guests start to go missing. This is part of a series, and this is probably book 4 or 5 or something in the series. Oh, possibly 6. Death Beside the Seaside. And then moving on to other words that are summary, I thought lake is a very summary word, to go to the lake. And this is The Lake District Murder by John Bude. This is part of the British Library Crime Classics series, originally published in the 30s. When a body is found at an isolated garage, Inspector Meredith is drawn into a complex investigation where every clue leads to another puzzle. Was this a suicide or something more sinister? Why was the dead man planning to flee the country? And how is this connected to the shady business dealings of the garage? The Lake District sounds like a place that people would go head to in the summer. I'm guessing. I'm not from England, but... and then I actually have a book. This is called The English Lakes, which is, I believe, about the same area. But I could be wrong. It could be all of the lakes in England. It's part of a series, Beautiful England. And this is, it just has absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous pictures. That's Coniston Lake. Let's see, I will show you a couple more. Windermere. So yeah, this is another one just to look at. But these are all places that I would definitely go to visit in the summer. That's Rydalmere. One more, Grassmere. Okay, and then finally, The Lake House by Kate Morton. I have not read this one either. Oh, but look at these beautiful end papers. Oh, that's lovely. Okay, so this one is set in 1933. A country house in Cornwall is ready for a grand summer party, but before the night is over, this idyllic refuge will find itself the backdrop to tragedy and the birthplace of a terrible secret. Okay, and then I have one book that has beach in the title, and this is Bones Under the Beach Hut by Simon Brett. This is a mystery, part of his Feathering Village mystery series. So it's Feathering is a coastal village in England, and Bones Under the Beach Hut is, I'm not sure, it's not the first in the series by all means, but it's the only one that I have. An affluent seaside resort, the affluent seaside resort of Smalting is unaccustomed to crime. So when human remains are found beneath the floorboards of one of its beach huts, the community is awash with suspicion and fear. Okay, and then I have a few books that have the word pool in the title, because that is definitely another summer phrase. This is The Tidal Pool by Karen Harper. This is the second in her Elizabeth I mystery series, and this is the one that I'm actually reading right now. She, in this book, she is on her way to her coronation as Queen Elizabeth I. And she finds out that someone connected to one of her ladies in waiting, I think, is murdered during the procession, I believe, to her coronation. And then we have The Swimming Pool by Mary Roberts Reinhardt. This is from 1952. When beautiful young Judith Maynard left the Birches, it was to marry a fabulously wealthy older man who swore to make her every dream come true. But when she returned to the old family mansion, her lovely face was hollow-cheeked, her eyes nervous with terror. Her marriage mysteriously shattered, her dream turned into a nightmare. Yet she would reveal to no one what strange curse had blighted her life, and now had turned this, her last refuge, into a deadly trap. And then The Pool of St. Brannock by Philippa Carr, who also writes as Victoria Holt. This one sounded intriguing. On the turbulent and rocky coast of Cornwall, Angelette, daughter of Rolf and Honora, is born into the magnificent Catter mansion where she lives in secure contentment with her family until the fatal day at the legendary Pool of St. Brannock, when she encounters a desperate and dangerous fugitive, a meeting that will shape her life, her loves, her fate. In London, Angelette marries the charming Gervase Mandeville. Too late, she discovers a fatal flaw in his character, which draws her into the bewildering role of frontier wife in the primitive goldfields of Australia. To the people around her, gold is the meaning of life, and when the search for this precious metal proves futile, their desire to possess it becomes more intense. It is here that Angelette meets Benedict Lansdowne, the man with whom she shared the horror at St. Brannock, a strong-willed, determined man who unearthed the riches and power of gold, but not without a price. Angelette returns home to London only to be swept up in the whirlwind of political events, but it is Benedict who will force her to confront and overcome the tragedy that she witnessed at the pool, and who will help her regain the only true love she thought she had lost. Intriguing. Okay, then I have a couple that have holiday in the title. Holiday at Half-Mast by J.J. Farion. I'm not entirely sure how to say it. This is part of the Crime Club series. I love these covers. This was originally published in, this is number 80 for the Crime Club. Originally published in 1937. My edition is from 1939. And I don't know what it's about because the back has this fantastic ad on it instead of a synopsis. But it's a mystery. Holiday with Violence by Ellis Peters. It should have been a wonderful holiday. 4 young people traveling together through the Italian countryside to Venice. Everyone is so friendly, particularly that charming elderly gentleman who shares his first-class railway carriage with them for part of the way. So it is a terrible shock on their arrival at Turin to discover that Signor Galassi has been the victim of a brutal attack, a sordid little robbery with violence. Their spirits somewhat dampened, the 4 continue on their journey, only to find that trouble pursues them, for they have inadvertently walked off with crucial evidence of a more serious crime. Evidence that someone desperately needs to retrieve. Sounds good. And then this one, it doesn't say holiday, but it said trip. And the cover just also looks summery. And this is Topper Takes a Trip by Thorne Smith. This edition is fantastic. This is a pocketbook edition from 1945. The book was initially published in 1932. This edition is from 1945. Topper's hilarious troubles begin when his friends, the Kirbys, got killed in an automobile accident and then embarked upon invisible and ectoplasmic escapades, which invariably involved Topper, and to his wife's increasing annoyance. And finally, after completely disrupting community life in Glendale, Topper takes his wife to the Riviera, both to escape his scandalized neighbors and in the hope that his wife might forget the past in the gay role of the unconventional and cosmopolitan Riviera. Unfortunately, the Kirbys show up there too, and what is worse, they bring 3 invisible and only semi-respectable friends with them: Colonel Scott, Mrs. Hart, and the Colonel's dog, Oscar. By dint of super canine effort, Oscar can, upon occasion, materialize his tale, but no more. Topper's Riviera holiday may be a trial for him, but it will be a laugh for you from its beginning to the end of a dogless wagging tail. So, sounds bizarre, but definitely summery. And then, speaking of the Riviera, this is Death on the Riviera by John Bude. The Riviera is definitely a word that evokes summer to me, and look at this cover. This is a book that was originally published in 1952. When a counterfeit currency racket comes to light on the French Riviera, Detective Inspector Meredith is sent speeding southwards out of the London murk to the warmth and glitter of the Mediterranean, along with Inspector Blampingen, an amiable policeman from Nice. Meredith must trace the whereabouts of Chalky Cobbett, crook and forger. So there you have it. Those are some books from my shelves that have words in the title that evoke summer. So I would love to know, have you read any of these books? I would love to chat with you about them. And what books do you have on your shelves that have titles with words that evoke summer? I would love to hear about those as well. And I will see you for another video soon. Bye.